Welcome back to the operetta. They say that silence is golden. Anyone who has ever spent a sleepless night alone with a guilty conscience knows the truth. Silence is heavy. It has density. It presses down on you until the ringing in your ears starts to sound like judgment. We fill our world with noises, engines, sirens, notifications, not because we love the sound, but because we're terrified of the quiet. We're terrified of what we might hear if the distraction stops. But what happens when the noise is taken away? What happens when you travel to a place where a single cough can get you killed and you're forced to live entirely inside your own head? You might find the monsters outside the door nothing compared to the ones you brought with you. Test your levels, meet your mic, let's take a trip to the new Providence. And the admission price has been paid, but be warned, the walls aren't just listening, they're waiting. Let the show begin.
The air in New Providence didn't just smell, it tasted. It tasted like recycled copper, wet wool, and the oily violet residue that clung to the inside of your nostrils no matter how often changed your filters. I was in the Sector 4 market when it happened. A maintenance drone overhead sputtered, a spark popped, and a single steel bolt dropped from its chassis. It hit the pavement like a gunshot. The reaction was instantaneous. 200 people froze mid-stride. It wasn't a discipline. It was a reflex honed by generational trauma. The soft shoe shuffle of rubber soles stopped, hands locking in mid-sign, eyes widening, white and wet, darting toward the violet fog that swirled at ankle height. We waited. 10 seconds, 20. The mist swirled lazily, indifferent. It didn't spike. It didn't harden. Shoulders dropped. Breath hissed through filtration masks. The collective heart rate of the block lowered, and the silent shuffle resumed. I didn't relax. My hand was already in my pocket, fingers brushing the cold metal of the device. I wasn't just a citizen. I was a conductor. I knew the score. My mark was a kid named Jensen. He was leaning against a rusted stanchion, vibrating with the kind of anxiety that smells like sour milk. He owed the board, and the board didn't take IOUs. I drifted past him, a gray coat in a sea of gray coats. I didn't look at him. I let the crowd swallow me. As I brushed his shoulder, I slipped the node into his pocket. I walked away. 1, 2, 3. I reached the heavy blast door of a defunct supply closet, slipped inside, and spun the wheel lock. Through the reinforced porthole, I watched. I pressed the activator. There was no audible sound. The device wasn't a speaker, it was a neural disruptor. It broadcasted a focused infrasound frequency directly into the amygdala. Pure, chemically induced panic. Jensen gasped. I saw him clutch his chest. His eyes went wide, pupils dilating until they were black holes. He wasn't making a sound, but his body was screaming. His brain was flooding with cortisol, convinced he was falling, burning and drowning all at once. The mist reacted. The violet fog snapped upward. It didn't drift. It struck. The vapor calcified instantly into jagged obsidian geometry. Legs, mandibles, scythes. Jensen thrashed, terror radiating off him like heat off a furnace. The skimmers swarmed him. There was no noise from the creatures, only the wet, tearing sound of Jensen ceasing to be a person. I watched the blood spray against the glass. My hand, resting on the wheel lock, gave a single violent twitch. I stared at it. A tremor, a crack in the porcelain. I grabbed my wrist, squeezing until the knuckles turned white, forcing the hand to be still. Control, I told myself. Loud men die. Quiet men survive. A memory flashed, unbidden. A woman in a blue dress, kneeling on a plastic tarp, her neck bent at an impossible angle. "Please," she had whispered. "I won't say a word." I shoved the memory down into the dark box where I kept everything else. Jensen was gone. The mist dissolved back into vapor. I checked my pulse. 65. Acceptable. The magistrate's office was the ultimate luxury. It was soundproofed well enough to speak without a muzzle. He was a fat man, a rarity on a diet of ration bars and algae paste. He sat behind a desk of real mahogany, sweating through a silk suit.
"You're expensive, Vance,"
the magistrate said. His voice was wet and gravelly. "I'm thorough," I replied. My voice sounded foreign, scratchy, and thin. I kept my hands folded tight to hide the micro-tremors. "Jensen is handled."
"Jensen was an appetizer.
The magistrate slid a data slate across the wood.
This is the main course, Dr. Eris Calloway."
I looked at the image. A bearded man in a tattered lab coat, staring calmly into the lens.
"He's in the Echo District,"
the magistrate said, leaning forward.
"He's gone rogue. He's broadcasting unauthorized signals. Noise, Vance, constant noise."
"And he's not dead?"
We believe he's found a way to jam the Skimmers, to control them. If he turns that technology against the city, he could drop the dampener fields. He could ring the dinner bell for the whole colony.
You want him silenced?
I want him erased. Take a Class A disruptor, overload his position. If he likes noise, give him all of it.
I took the slate. Echo District is thick. The isolation gets to people.
"That's why I hired you," the magistrate said, eyeing me. "You don't have an imagination, do you, Vance? You're just a mechanism."
I didn't answer. I just touched the spot on my wrist where the pulse thumped against the skin, a steady, forced rhythm. The transition to the Echo District was a descent into a bruise. The sky here was a permanent, swirling twilight. The paved roads gave way to cracked ferrocrete, split open by bulbous purple weeds. I moved slowly. My boots were modified, hydraulic dampeners. I was a ghost, but the silence here was different. In the city, silence was a rule. Here, it was a predator. The mist was thicker, curling around my waist like lovers' fingers. It felt heavy. Every time I shifted my weight, the vapor would recoil, then creep back, testing the space I occupied. My mind began to itch. It started with the periphery. I passed a rusted storefront. In the reflection of the broken glass, I saw a man standing behind me, tall, wearing a suit from the old Earth style. I spun around, hand on my pistol. Nothing, just swirling fog. "The informant," my mind whispered. "The one you pushed off the gantry in Sector 7. "Just gas," I muttered into my muzzle. "Psycho-reactive hallucinations. Keep it together." I checked my vitals. Heart rate, 80. Too high. I dry swallowed a beta blocker from my belt pouch. The chemical taste was bitter, grounding. I pressed on. The architecture grew stranger, covered in calcified secretions. And then I heard it. A sound. Not the chittering of a beast. A hum. Low. Rhythmic. I froze. The panic spiked in my chest. A cold needle. Noise. I forced my breathing to slow. In through the nose, out through the nose. I followed the sound to a dry fountain in a ruined plaza. Dr. Eris Calloway sat in a folding lawn chair. He wasn't wearing a muzzle. He wasn't wearing armor. He was wearing flannel pajamas and a lab coat. Next to him, a bank of radio equipment pulsed with amber light. The mist formed a wall around him, 10 feet high, swirling violently. But it didn't touch him. It formed a perfect circle of clear air around his chair. And he was humming. He was humming a nursery rhyme. I crouched behind a statue, my hands shaking uncontrollably now. This was impossible. He was making noise. He should be meat. I unclipped the Class A disruptor, a heavy disc capable of producing a sonic boom that would shatter windows for a mile. I didn't need to be subtle. I just needed to end it. I stood up and hurled the disc. It skittered across the pavement, clatter, scrape, thud, stopping feet from Calloway. Calloway stopped humming. He looked at the disc, then he looked at me.
"Hello, Vance,"
he said. I hit the trigger. The disruptor shrieked. It wasn't a hum, it was a mechanical scream, a cacophony of grinding metal and high-frequency wails designed to simulate the end of the world. The ground vibrated under my boots. I squeezed my eyes shut, waiting for the slaughter, waiting for the mist to turn into a meat grinder. I opened my eyes. The device was screaming. Calloway was watching it calmly, and the mist was just drifting, soft, violet, indifferent. What? I gasped. The word was lost under the mechanical shriek. I ripped the muzzle off my face. Why aren't they attacking? I screamed. Calloway reached down and flipped a switch on the disruptor. The screaming died. Silence rushed back in, heavy and suffocating.
Because the machine isn't scared, Vance.
Calloway said. His voice was gentle, which made it worse. I drew my pistol. It's noise! Noise attracts them! I fired into the ground. Bang! The gunshot cracked like thunder in the amphitheater of ruins. The echo rolled through the streets. The mist didn't move. I stared at the smoking hole in the concrete. My world tilted. The logic I had built my survival on, the rules, the muzzles, the soft shoe, dissolved.
They aren't bats, Vance.
Calloway said, stepping out of the circle. He walked toward me.
They don't hunt by sonar. Look at the readings.
He pointed to the fog.
It's particulate matter suspended in a psionic field. It's reactive. They don't hear you. They feel you.
He took another step.
Your device on Jensen? It didn't call them. It flooded Jensen's brain with terror. He called them. The noise is just the byproduct of our fear. We thought the scream was the trigger, but it's the horror behind the scream.
No, I whispered. I took a step back. I'm not scared,
You're terrified.
Calloway said softly.
You're a hitman. You are a walking vessel of repressed violence, paranoia, and the memories of 50 murders. You've been holding it back with pills and discipline, but you're the loudest thing on this planet.
I looked at the mist. It was changing. The swirling vapor wasn't forming spikes or claws. It was forming fabric, gray coats, blue dresses. A shape coalesced from the fog, 10 feet away. It wasn't an insect. It was Jensen, but not the Jensen I saw in the market. This was Jensen as I left him, torn open, jaw unhinged, eyes wide, black voids of panic. No, I said. My voice trembled. Another shape formed to my left, a woman in a blue dress. Her head was lolling to the side, her neck broken, swaying like a dandelion in a breeze.
Please.
The fog whispered. It wasn't Calloway speaking. The voice came from the air itself.
I won't say a word.
My cool shattered. It didn't crack. It exploded. The dam holding back years of adrenaline and guilt burst. A cold, electric spike of pure horror shot up my spine. The mist reacted instantly. The Jensen thing lunged. It didn't move with the grace of a predator. It moved with the jerky, frantic spasms of the dying. It slammed into me. I fell. The cold was absolute. It wasn't wet. It was a dry, freezing vacuum against my skin. "Get off!" I screamed. I fired my gun wildly. The bullets passed through the smoke, but the hands, the cold, solid hands, didn't let go. The woman with the broken neck crawled over me. She wasn't weeping. She was mimicking the sound of snapping bone. She pinned my arms. "Calloway!" I shrieked. "Turn it off! Use the jammer!" I looked up. Calloway was standing over me, framed by the violet sky. He looked sad.
I can't.
He said.
They aren't my monsters, Vance. They're yours.
More of them formed. The informant I pushed. The man I strangled in the airlock. They piled on, a mound of gray ghosts and old sins. They were heavy. Impossibly heavy. The Jensen thing leaned down. Its face was inches from mine. The eyes were hollowed out, filled with swirling mist. I opened my mouth to scream, to beg, to confess. The Jensen thing raised a finger of condensed smoke and pressed it gently against my lips. The mist whispered. The pressure increased. My ribs groaned. The light faded as the fog solidified around me, filling my mouth, my nose, my ears. It wasn't a violent end. It was an eviction. I was being sealed into the architecture of my own guilt. The last thing I heard was the sound of my own heart, hammering a frantic rhythm against the silence, until it, too, finally stopped.
The set is over. The Sigmel is dead. Vance spent his entire life silencing others, convinced that he was the predator because he was the only one quiet enough to pull the trigger. But he forgot the cardinal rule of the echo chamber. Eventually, everything you put up comes back to you. He thought he was walking through a city of aliens. In the end, he was just walking through a hall of mirrors. The mist didn't kill him. The mist just gave his guilt the hands that did it to strangle him. It's a grim reminder that you can muzzle a mouth and you can dampen a room, but you cannot silence a memory. We all carry our own ghosts. Most of us are just lucky enough to live on a planet that doesn't let them touch us. Yet. So tonight when you turn off the screen and your room goes dark, listen. Is that the house settling? Is it the wind? Or is the atmosphere in your room reacting to the one thing you promised yourself you'd never think about again? The monsters are only as real as you make them. Try not to feed them. If you want to keep the fog at bay for one more night, you know the ritual. Leave a like and subscribe. And it's a small offering to the algorithm. A little bit of digital noise keeps the sounds away. Until the next movement, sleep.